Hey everyone, this is Matt, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a 50 card updated Dark Magician deck profile. Alright, so wait, I know what some of you might be thinking. Didn't you just put out a 3-hour video doing a Dark Magician deck profile at the beginning of March? What was the point of that? Is that video useless? No, it's not. You can still use that deck, it's still good, and a lot of what I talk about in that video, it was in depth, goes over a lot of combos. Yeah, that's still a good video, still relevant. However, what I'm going to be doing here is just updating y'all on the deck that I'm currently running. It's a 50 card variant of Dark Magician, and so I'm not going to go in depth about like all the cards that I already went in depth about in my other video, but I'm going to talk about why I decided to go to 50 cards and why I decided to make the changes that I did. All right, so why 50 cards? So one thing that I noticed, or rather that I felt that I needed, was I needed to see a bit more like side decking, like tech options, right? Why was that? So my last video, in the 40 card version deck, I had 10 side deck slots, like tech options, right? And if you watch my videos since then, like the smaller videos, I actually bumped that down to 9, right? So uh, yeah, so 10 out of 40 is about 25% of the deck. 9 is even less than 25. It's like 22.5% of the deck, right? I felt like that was too low. So what I decided to do was I'm bumping the deck count up to 50 because I feel like the Dark Magician core is so big. And the 10 extra new cards I'm adding are going to be mostly side deck tech. It's not going to be Dark Magician core with like one exception, which I'll talk about. So yeah, so with 50 cards, I now have 15 side deck slots, right? So side like tech options. 15 out of 50 is 30%. So I have a higher rate of seeing, like side deck cards or like tech cards, tech options, but without sacrificing my ability to do my combo or like end my board with Dragoon. So that was the goal of bumping up to 50, just to be able to see some of these cards more while not sacrificing the main engine of the deck. And at the same time, with 50 cards, as opposed to 40, we're going to be seeing our bricks a lot less. So right, because instead of 1/8 chance of drawing of opening hand having a brick, you're going to have a 1 in 10 chance. So better, you're still going to see like bricks once in a while, but it happens, right? Um, yeah, so I've piloted this. I've been testing this deck a lot online, and I took it to 2 locals. In the first locals I took it to last week, I got top 4. Um, and then in the most recent locals I took to, I was undefeated. So I went all the way. Like, all right. So yeah. After that, and I also play tested this with Lalza. Like I could talk about with Lalza, right? Like play testing online. I definitely felt like I'm comfortable enough with this deck to feel like yeah, this is a good spot for a 50 card deck. This is a good, I think it's in a good spot for me to showcase. I also ran my, online playtesting like with simulators and my spreadsheet to make sure that I was actually seeing Dragoon at a pretty good rate while also seeing like a good number of average board interruptions. And I'm still maintaining a really good number. Nothing got worse. As far as I can tell, the only thing that got worse is like the deck is thicker. It's like more annoying to shovel because it's 50 cards double sleeved, right? So anyway, yeah, so let's get into it. The way I'm going to do this is, so here's this side extra deck and side deck. Not much of it has changed. This is what I consider to be the Dark Magician core, and these are like the 15 or whatever, like the new cards, right, that you probably haven't seen before. So I'll zoom through these because I've already talked about them. Go watch my 3-hour video to get more in-depth details about them, but yeah, let's get started and get through this. So just like before, we have 2 copies of Dark Magician. I don't need to explain why we don't play 3 anymore. I've done that exhaustively. 1 copy of the Dark Magician Girl. Red Eyes Black Dragon. So these are the main bricks of the decks. Usually we don't want to ever see these in our hands. We want these to be in the deck so we can send them to the graveyard, right? The single copy of Apprentice Illusion Magician, just like before. 2 copies of Magician's Rod. So recall that but in the previous video I had 3. I bumped this down to 2 because I feel like with Illusion of Chaos and the Preparation of Rites, I literally did not notice that I decreased this to 2. Like it still felt like I have 3, even in a 50 card deck. So like not only did I bump this down to 2 in the 40 card version, but like even adding 10 more cards to the deck, I still felt like I saw this like every game. So 2 is perfectly fine. You don't really need more than 2. It recycles itself in the graveyard. You have Illusion of Chaos. This is perfectly fine. So I'm liking 2-Rod. A lot of the other Dark Magician content creators are going for 2-Rod. So yeah, 2-Rod is the way to go. 3 Magician Souls. This has not changed. This is still like one of the best cards in the deck. We still want to see as many of them as possible. It's a special summon, right? Only once in a while you're going to be normal summoning it, but most of the time it's a special summon. It gets your bricks into the graveyard. It's good. Play 3. 2 Illusion of Chaos with the single Ceravis, just like in my previous video, right? You only need 2. I already explained why. Because we're running the 3 Preparation of Rites, you're going to see this every game anyway. And then the 1 Ceravis to protect your Anaconda from targeted negates like Hand Traps, Imperm Veiler, Chalice, Chi-Xiao, etc. So this will protect that. So one more thing that I forgot to mention in that video, but that I definitely mentioned in future videos. Let's say you're playing, you have your Dragoon on the field and it's skill drained, right? Because you skill drained, or maybe your opponent did. Dragoon can now be targeted by card effects, which means if they try to target your Dragoon with a card effect and you have Ceravis in hand, you can literally discard Ceravis to protect your Dragoon. So yeah, that's just an extra little thing that I didn't mention before. All right. And then the 2 new additions to the deck, which I did talk about in my other videos, is Girsu, the Orcus Mech Knight. So I'm not going to go in depth about this, even though it was not in my 3-hour video. If you want to know more about Girsu, go watch my other video. If you're not sure which video it is, it's the one that has Girsu literally as a thumbnail. So yeah, 2 Girsu. This card has been great. I love this card. I highly recommend. Some people prefer to run Diviner, Manju. Those are fine. I just prefer Girsu from my experience in playtesting with Girsu, Manju, Diviner, etc. So yeah, basically Girsu and Rod are your main normal summons in the deck. Girsu being a 1-card Anaconda, aka Dragoon, and also 1-card access code. Alright, so pretty straightforward. Not much changed there. Let's quickly go over the traps again. So the 1-ofs, the power 1-ofs, Upstart Goblin, Called by the Grave, these are core. I would never side these out personally or take them out for anything. The 3 Preparation of Rites, no further explanation needed. You have 3 ritual monsters. You should run Preparation of Rites. It's a good card, right? Alright, the fusion cards. 3 Red Eyes Fusion, 1 Magical Eyes Fusion, 1 Secrets of Dark Magic. This has not changed. It's still the same. Now, you might be saying, wait, remember how I argued that, oh, you want to run 3 Red Eyes Fusion because seeing Red Eyes Fusion in your hand going second is amazing because it either baits out your opponent's Omni Negates or forces them to, or you basically like summon Dragoon and just wipe their board, right? So you might say, wait, aren't we seeing this less often now that we're running a 50-card variant? Not exactly. That was a concern that I thought of as well. I'm going to address that later, but yeah, we still want to see these as much as possible, so yeah, so nothing's changed here. And then, of course, the Dark Magician searchables, 1 Circle, 3 Servant, 1 Salvation. Yeah, these are the main spell searchables. Still 1 Eternal Soul. Even though we're going to 50, I think 1 Circle, 1 Soul is enough. Hell, I would even say, like, if you go to 60, 1 Circle, 1 Soul is enough. And then the final 3 cards that I consider core is 3 Skill Drain. So previously in my other video, I said that Skill Drain was like a side deck slot, like a tech option that, oh, it's optional, like, maybe you don't really want to run these. You can swap them out for something else. But honestly, after trying out other options, I miss Skill Drain. Skill Drain is such a good card, like in those hands where you can't make Dragoon, you just set this, and then like it just your opponent can't play, right? So like aside from that, like if you have vanilla DM and you're cycling through Eternal Soul, Skill Drain is amazing. Like in my opinion, this is now core of the deck. I don't think this is an optional anymore. I think this is core. Now, of course, this is one of the core pieces that you can side out, right? Like if you know you're going second, even though Skill Drain does work fine going second, you can definitely side these out. But I'm considering this core of the Dark Magician deck now. It's so good. It's just like how Eldritch will never play without Skill Drain. I actually think Dark Magician should never play without Skill Drain. So I'm considering it a core part of the deck. So I already explained why. My other video, go watch that. All right. So these are all cards that you've seen before. Now let's talk about side decking and like the text. So I remember the reason I'm increasing fitness because I want to see more of these, right? First, let's address the elephant in the room about Red Eyes Fusion. I mentioned before, oh, now that we're at 50 cards, then we see Red Eyes Fusion going second less often. Yes, however, to remedy that, I'm running the Red Eyes Insight package. So yes, I'm running a single copy of Red Eyes Wyvern and 3 Red Eyes Insights. So for those of you who don't know, when you activate this, you send this card from your deck to the graveyard or your hand, and then you search Red Eyes Fusion. So you can literally search Red Eyes Fusion. So you're essentially playing 6 copies of Red Eyes Fusion now instead of 3. Yeah, like I said in my previous video, my in-depth video, the more copies of Red Eyes Fusion, the better. It's a great card, especially going second, right? They have to respect it, and they have to negate it. So Yeah, I don't feel that this is bricky either, especially if you have Magician Souls, which is you often see. Like if you open multiple Red Eyes Fusion, send them to the graveyard for draws, or use them as discard fodder for Dragoon. Like I never had an issue in either playtesting online or any of the locals I attended where I saw too many copies of Red Eyes Fusion. Never had that issue happen. Right? It was never like a brick. Yeah, and then the Red Eyes Wyvern is a level 4, so you can normal summon this. It's an 1800 beater, right? It's odd that it's a wind. I don't know why this is a wind. This should honestly be a dark, but yeah. Uh, if you don't have Red Eyes Insight, but you have this in your hand, this can be a normal summon that can go in Anaconda. So if you open this with Magician Souls, there you have your Anaconda, right? Not ideal, but like it's not a total brick. It's not like a level 7 Red Eyes monster or anything. And another thing that those of you who may not know, Red Eyes Wyvern has an effect in the graveyard. Let me see if I can. Once per turn during the end phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard and target one Red Eyes monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. You cannot normal summon set during the turn you activate this effect. That means if they out your Dragoon on the following turn, if you do not normal summon, you can banish this from your graveyard to revive Dragoon. Now the Dragoon will come back with no pops, and obviously it's in the end phase, right? But it will come back, you know, same Dragoon, just not able to pop, still able to Omni negate. And also, if you have Anaconda, or like if all you do is special summon, you can maybe like do Magical Eyes Fusion, make a second Dragoon, so you can potentially end your turn with another Dragoon anyway. So yeah, this is a card they have to respect. This is a target like this will bait them into do a Call by the Grave or like maybe a Flandre Stree. Like they have to respect this card. And just the fact that it's a threat for them in the graveyard means that they're gonna have to deal with it, which means that it's less likely your Dark Magician will get called by the grave or whatever, right? So yeah, so this is a pretty good package. And as a sneak peek, like when we later, you know how me and Lalza have been collaborating. So me and Lalza, the last video of our collaboration is going to be about a 60 card Dark Magician deck that we're going to be theory crafting around. It definitely revolves around the Insight package a lot more than you realize. So just a little sneak peek. I don't know if we're going to go to 60 cards. I feel 50 is enough. Like I feel like with 30% of my deck being side text, I feel like I'm seeing everything I need to see at the right ratios. So, all right. So these are 4 of the cards that we're adding. All right. Other side of this sauce. Triple Droll. All right. This is a main deck. I've said it in my last video. I've or not my in-depth video, but I said it in like all the videos since then. This card is amazing. I'm low key convinced that this is the best hand trap in the game right now because like so many decks right now are comprised of various engines that just all search each other that I feel like if you Droll them, they're gonna end on a their turn is either gonna end immediately or on a super subpar suboptimal board or like uh yeah, like just something weak that you can just break so easily, right? This kills the adventure engine, right? Like people like to say, "Oh, Ghost Ogre, you use Ghost Ogre on Faithful Adventure, and they can't, their engine is broken." Well, if they use the Water Enchantress to banish the search to right, you immediately draw them. They can't like all they can do is get a token. They can't get the Griffin or Rider or the Draco back. Or if they start with right, they search maybe the Draco back first, and then you draw them, and then they can't search the Griffin Rider. So that's an Omni negate that. So it's just, and the Draco back on your turn does nothing, right? It's just it's a bounce on their turn. So yeah, I was running 2 of in my last few videos, but I really felt like I had to bump this up to a 3 of. Another reason I want to bump this up to a 3 of, we're a 50 card deck now. Not likely to see 2 in hand, but even if you do, one can be used to stop your opponent from searching cards. The other can be used as a normal summon. So remember, this is a spellcaster, so can fuse into the Dark Magicians with Secrets of Dark Magic, and like this is a normal summon. If you have Magician Souls, don't have Rod, here we go. There's your second body, right? So yeah, 3 Droll. I think this card is absolutely mandatory, at very least in your side deck, but I think it's main deckable. Like I want to say almost every game where I successfully Drolled my opponent, I won, and every game where I lost, where I did not have Droll, I felt like if I did have Droll, I would have won. Like that's how good this card is. Like most of the time, if they produce a suboptimal board, like or you stop them from searching, they just go into Anaconda and then DP, and then all you have to deal with is DPE, which DPE is just Dragoon food, right? Like Dragoon will always destroy DPE. Like Dragoon is the superior fusion in every way, and yeah, if it's your Dragoon versus their DPE, your Dragoon will always win. So yeah, 3 Droll. I think it's really good. All right, 3 Effect Veiler. So I know some of you have said like, oh, with Effect Veiler, it's not a it's not a high impact hand trap. The main reason that I'm running this is because it's a spellcaster, so similar logic to Droll. You can fuse it into Seeker's Dark Magic. It is a normal summon, right? So again, I want to have all these extra tech options without too much hitting my ability to see Dragoon, right? So this is a normal summon body if you need it, like along with souls. But also like this can hit like this can do pretty good hits. Like if you use it on your opponent's, because this can only use it on your opponent's turn, try to hit Hulk, and then you stop their Hulk engine, or you force their Griffin to negate, or you force their Barone to negate, right? And then you go into your turn and you don't have to deal with those negates anymore, right? So, or stop their Anaconda from summoning DPE, right? Like it's an okay card. It's not the best. Most of the time when I'm side decking, these are the first to get cut because it's again not high impact. Maybe you can argue that these could be imperms. Maybe you could like switch them out to something else. I'm open to that. But plus the fact that this is a tuner means that you have the option of running Crystron and Halki Fibrax in your deck if you want. I don't think it's necessary, especially since I'm siding these out most of the time. But yeah, that option is on the table. So yeah, Effect Veiler, pretty decent. Also running 3 copies of Super Poly. Welcome to the Church of Super Poly, right? I'll be your High Priest, and yeah, I can tell you that this is a Super Poly format. Almost every game that I play, I can, with the exception of Fluanderies, I can Super Poly. And even against Fluanderies, if I'm able to get to Imduck, I can Super Poly their M-Pen or their Avion, right? So it's, again, like, it's really hard to not be able to Super Poly in this format, I feel. Plus, Super Poly just breaks boards, right? Like, they have DPE, Anaconda, Super Poly. Like, they try to use their DPE to be sneaky and, destroy their own Anaconda. Okay, summon Rod, activate effective search, and then chain Super Poly, and then just fuse Rod, and right, there's a lot you can do with this. I very rarely side this out, I'll say. Like, I know I was running 2 in the 40 card deck, but I feel like we can definitely make this 3 in the 50 card deck. I haven't really bricked on this. It just sucks that you have to discard a card to activate this, but it's such high impact. Like, this one card can break your opponent's entire board, especially with the Super Poly targets that I'll show you later. Yeah, you can Super Poly DPE with Barone. You can Super Poly Bardiche with DPE. You can Super Poly a lot. Griffin Rider with Battle Butler. Griffin Rider with Barone. Like there's so many options, and this is like a board breaker, great for going first or second. So therefore, you should just main deck it. Like I don't like some people like to side deck. I'm like, dude, it's a quick play spell. Like just main deck this, right? And then the final 3 are 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet. Wait a minute. There's only 1 Forbidden Droplet. What do you mean 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet? Those are chalices. Yes, I'm aware of that. I only own 1 copy of Forbidden Droplet. I have my other 2 copies coming in the mail. So as soon as they arrive, they will be replacing these 2 chalices. Now, I know I said in my previous video, like, chalice is good enough. You don't really need Droplet. It's an expensive card, I know. So why am I now saying that these should be Droplet? And granted, the 2 locals that I went to, I did see this Droplet, so it's not like the one of in the 50 card like I never saw. I did see it. It was pretty good. And even when I had Chalice, it was fine. Like, it worked almost as well, right? So the main reason that I think that we should be going to 3 Droplet, even though unfortunately it's expensive, is because we're going to 50 cards now. Mass board clear or board break cards that are in my side deck, such as Evenly Match and Dark Ruler No More, I'm going to see less often because it's a 50 card deck versus a 40 card deck, right? Now, you can kind of get, like, but because you have more side tech slots to deal with, you can keep more, more often keep Droll and keep Super Poly while also having Evenly Matched and Darker Little More. And Droll doesn't break a board, but it prevents their board from forming, right? And Super Poly can break a board most of the time, right? So the idea behind running 3 Droplet is that I consider Droplet to be as high impact as a Dark Ruler No More. I mean, some will argue that Droplet is better than Dark Ruler No More because it's a quick play, you can use it on your opponent's turn, and Dark Ruler No More has that restriction where you cannot damage your opponent, whereas Droplet has no such restriction. So you can OTK under Droplet, you can't OTK under Dark Ruler No More. So yeah, so people will argue that I still prefer Dark Ruler No More better because it doesn't cost you anything to use. You just use it. All their monsters are negated no matter how many there are, whereas with Forbidden Droplet, like, yes, you can negate their entire board, but you have to be very tricky and, like, smart about how you send cards to the graveyard in order to do that, right? So, yeah, so Forbidden Droplet has a potential, like Dark Ruler more to just negate your opponent's entire board, or at least negate their main problem monsters, right? So because of that, similar to, it's the same reason why I want to see Red Eye's Insight. I don't want to see Red Eye's Fusion less, so I'm making up for it by having the Red Eye's Insight package. I don't want to see Dark Ruler no more less, so I'm making up for it by running 3 Forbidden Droplet, right? So yeah, if you don't have it or you don't want to spend the money on it, I guess Chalice is acceptable. I just think that the Droplet here specifically, or the logic behind Droplet is I want this to be 3 more copies of Dark Ruler no more, especially when I'm going second. Like that's my goal with having the 3 Droplet. So yeah, okay. So those are my side deck tech slots. So as some of you may remember, in my previous video, like in my in-depth video, I had only 9 slots, so I didn't have Veilers. And I think I had this plus the 3 skill drain, right? So 2, 4, 6, and then the 3 skill drain were 9, right? So you can see how we got to right. So these were already in the deck, right? So you can see how we got to 40, right? So these are the Insight package is 4 cards, plus 3 is 7, plus 1, 2, 3 is 10. So this is how we got to 50 cards from the other stuff. So these are the 10 new cards, right? So yeah, I'm really liking this. I've yet to have like an egregiously bricky hand. I have yet to have any issues where I feel like this deck is worse than the 40 card one. I do feel like it's better in a lot of cases, in a lot of sense, because now that we have like 15 side deck tech slots, right? And usually you side in, like if you're going first or second, between like 6 to like maybe 9, for example, cards. You can still keep some of these high impact cards. You can still keep Super Poly like Droplets and have all your other cards come in, like you can still keep your Drolls, right, and have all your other cards come in. So yeah, Insight package I never side out, but I do side out Skill Drain when I'm going second, simply because I probably prefer to have like evenly matched Dark Ruler no more for going second, but these are perfectly acceptable for going second. So there we go. That's how we get to 50 cards. I really hope you try this out. If you can afford some of these cards, I know they can get expensive, but yeah, it's definitely been working for me. And again, with Veiler, like, I'm not super, like, if there's anything you disagree with the most, or like think, I definitely highly insist keeping the Drolls, keeping the Super Polys, keeping the Droplets, right? Veilers, I'm more wishy-washy about. If you want, you can replace these 3 with Ghost Ogres. They're not spellcasters, but, if you want to do, like, a 1 E-Telly, 2 Ghost Ogres, or 2 Ghost Ogres, 1 E-Telly, like, feel free to do that. Like, it's a tuner just like Effect Veiler, so you can still do a Hulk play if you want. But, maybe you can say Ogre is more impactful than Effect Veiler. I can believe that. In fact, going forward, I might test swapping these out for, like, a Ghost Ogre and 2 Ghost Ogres and an E-Telly, for example. Just to see, like, if I feel like it's better. So, yeah, feel free to swap these out. These are the least impactful ones, like high-impact ones. And yeah, Ghost Ogre, because not only can it be a normal summon, but if you use it with E-Telly, it can be a special summon. So it might be even easier to get out your Anaconda, right? Like a second body for Anaconda. So yeah, so don't underestimate Ghost Ogre. You can definitely see it going over Veiler. Yeah, good cards. All right, so that is the additions to the main deck. So now let's talk about the side deck. The side deck is pretty much almost the same. Although if you only watch my in-depth Dark Magician video, do not watch my follow-up videos, my addendums. So yeah, I'm currently running 4 copies of Secret Village of the Spellcasters, 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, 3 Dark Ruler, 3 evenly matched, 3 summon limit. Right. So I had something very similar for my in-depth videos. Like Dark Ruler, evenly matched were already there. 2 Cyclones were there. I increased, so in my in-depth video I had 2 copies of Secret Village. Secret Village is so good if you're going first. I bumped this up to 4. If you want, you can make this 3 and then add another Cyclone if you want. I don't feel like a 3rd Cyclone has been needed, but I feel like almost every time, if I'm going first and I open my board Dragoon Secret Village, I almost always win, right? Because they can't out my Dragoon without going through like an access code. Like their spells will be useless, right? So yeah, so going second, evenly Dark Rulers, and then optionally Cosmics. Going first, summon limits, Secret Villages with optional Cosmic Cyclones. So yeah, so that's my side deck. Not much different than it was before. And then for the extra deck, it's the same extra deck with just super polys as difference. But I'll go over the extra deck again. 2 Dragoon, 1 to Dark Magicians. So these in my opinion are staples. I really like having the Dark Magicians. It's an extender. I wouldn't say it's a boss monster. And if you can get this on the field, like with Dragoon on the same turn, like great, this will just generate you draws and get you 2 bodies in case it's destroyed, right? Super poly targets: Mud Dragon in the Swamp, Star Venom Fusion Dragon, Guilty Gear Freed, and Prank Kids Weather Washer. So all those other fusions I had in my in-depth video I cut because I want to go super poly targets. Now, if you really want to, cut down the super poly targets, I would take out Weather Washer and keep these 3 because these 2 are super generic, and then this one is really good in the current format because it can fuse like 2 warriors with different attributes. So that's Barone is a warrior, so is DP. They're different attributes. So you see a lot of Barone and DP. You can fuse super poly them into this. The reason I run Prank Kids Weather Washers because I see a lot of Prank Kids at my locals. That's just how it be, right? Yeah. So those are super poly targets. I almost always have something to fuse, and then links, which I've shown in my previous video: Access Code, Selene, Dark, 2 Anaconda, Link Spider, Artemis, I'm Duck. So watch my other video for more explanation about the links and like these fusions, and then these 4 are the new additions for Super Poly. But yeah, if you do want to run Hulk, because if you're running Veiler or decide to go Ogre, yeah, feel free to take this out for Hulky Fibrax if you want. It's up to you. I just think that for my experience at my locals, these 4 targets almost always come up. So yeah, this is the good one. And remind me, oh, what are these cards? These are just like my World Legacy tokens for Yearsu. So I showed them in my other video. So all right. So that's my 50 card build. I'm really liking this. I'm surprised how well it did and how consistent it's been. I don't know. I'm not convinced if we should go to 60 cards. I do theorycraft about that with Lalza in the video that will come out soon. But yeah, I think that this is a good start, right, for trying to expand our horizons a little bit, because I do feel like, yeah, because of Illusion of Chaos, Preparation Rise, etc., like the Dark Magician core has gotten bigger, and the Dark Magician core is a relatively big core, right? Like what was it? I feel like there's like 30 some cards in the Dark Magician core now, just cards that like you absolutely need to have, and then like, yeah, because I still want to have a good mix of like either backup supports or whatever, like text options to support my Dragoon or like my boards. I feel like I have to go to 50 for now. Other players have done it. Michael Boyd is already at 50. I think Lalza is definitely open-minded and might be going to 50 soon. Who knows, right? But yeah, so that's the 50 card build. I hope you enjoy it. Did surprisingly well at locals. I hope to pilot it and take it to locals more. Next time I take it to locals, I'll probably try out Ogre, 2 Ogre with a knee telly in place of the Veilers to see if that works out better for me. My guess is it probably will, because Ogre is just like more useful than Effect Veiler in the current format. But yeah, I mostly went Veiler because it's just like a spellcaster, right? It's a spellcaster. Like no other real reason than that. It's not a strong reason. But like I have had some hands where I had like Secrets of Dark Magic, and I fused Effect Veiler with like Dark Magician Girl to make the Dark Magicians, and I was actually able to play that hand. So yeah, that's the main reason. Yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know how you do with 50 cards. Let me know like if you've been playing 40 cards and you try out this 50 card build. Let me know if you feel like you find more success, if you brick less, if you're more consistent, if you're seeing your side deck options more. Because yeah, I definitely feel like that's been the case for me. So, all right, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.